So there are a couple of ways of looking at 7F. You could say that this is a quarter of a cylinder. So if we find a quarter of the surface area of a full cylinder with these dimensions, then we'd be finding a quarter of the two circular faces and a quarter of the curved face, because that's what makes up a full cylinder's surface area. But we would have to remember to then add on these two rectangular faces that we created when we cut that cylinder into quarters. Okay, because they would not be a part of the surface area of a full cylinder because they'd be inside the cylinder. It's kind of similar to if you look at D over here, this rectangular face here. If this was a full cylinder, the rectangular face would be inside the cylinder, so we wouldn't need to count it as part of the surface area. But once we cut through, it becomes part of the surface area of the shape. So we need to remember to include that and add it on at the end. So we can do it that way. We can find a quarter of the surface area of a cylinder. And we know the formula for surface area of a cylinder already. So we can say surface area is equal to, for the curved surface and the two circular surfaces, or they're not circular, they're a quarter of a circle, we can just say that it's a quarter of the surface area of a cylinder, which is 2 pi r squared for the circles plus 2 pi r h for the curved surface. So that would be all of the red part done. But then we just need to remember to include the two rectangles at the end. So it's going to be 2 times the area of the rectangle, which is just going to be, well, it's length times breadth. But in this case, the length is the radius and the breadth or the height is the height of the cylinder. So we can say it's like r times h. Doesn't really matter what you call it. We know that it's 6 times 12 for the rectangles. So our formula is going to be, if we plug our values in, a quarter times 2 pi 6 squared plus 2 pi 6 times 12 plus 2 times 6 times 12. And we could have gone through and done each individual face separately, but we should end up with the same answer if we just say, okay, well, it's a quarter of the surface area of a full cylinder plus the two rectangular faces that we created as well. So if we put this into a calculator, bear with me. We end up with 313.65, and it was kilometers, so it's going to be square kilometers.